let Rush Signal go.
If everyone can have a seat, we're going to get started. Please. I'd like to call this meeting of the Pasco County Metropolitan Planning Organization to order. If everyone could please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance, please.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the count that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Councilman Nick Smith,
Here.
Mayor Del Paso. Mayor Del
Here.
Commissioner Rod Oakley. Commissioner Mike Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Kathy Sparky. Commissioner Mike Wells.
Here.
Commissioner Zach Mariano.
Here. The seat's right over there.
Chairman Jeff Stark.
Here. At this point, I'd like to call for public input. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the board? Seeing none, we will move on to advisory committee reports. Is Jose Cardenas here for Citizens Advisory Committee? Come on up, Jose.
Good morning. Just in time. I feel a little underdressed in this elegant group. My name is Jose Cardenas, this year's chairman of the CAC committee, nominated by my peers, and grateful for that opportunity. So thank you for this time, Mr. Chairman Jeff Starkey. This month we approved the minutes unanimously. The action items this month included approval of the system performance report and safety targets. We recommended approval. CAC members reappointment, that's our item B, second item. This specific item, this list needs to be updated. Alternates are missing and major seats are vacant and have been for a couple of years. So I request that the MPO board address this matter. Or item C was the approval of the TSMO Memorandum of Understanding. It was presented for informational purposes only. Or item D was the approval of LRTP needs plan, projects prioritization criteria. We modified the prioritization criteria for scoring, and our recommendation will be presented by staff. Our last item was the approval of the MPO 18-008 time extension. We recommended approval. That's all I have. Thank you for your time, service. Looking forward to report continuous progress in the following months. Are there any questions?
No, but thank you, Jose, for agreeing to be the chair for the CAC.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. We will move on now to BPAC. Is there a representative here from BPAC?
There is not today.
There is not.
They just had a tri-county BPAC meeting agenda that's before you.
Okay, so we're going to move on next to action items.
Can I ask him a question on that?
Absolutely.
Did you go to that meeting?
I did not, I'm sorry.
Which staff member was at that meeting? 'Cause I have a
Would have
question.
been Ross Kevlin.
Is Ross here?
He's not here today.
Do we know what Pinellas County is doing with their part of the Pinellas Trail that is going to connect to the coastal trail?
We don't know. I mean, yeah, sorry.
I think we need to work with the city of Carlton, and I guess we'll briefly come in and we'll find out.
Okay, because my understanding was they were looking at a couple routes, and then they were going to pick which one and get to work on fixing it, so we have a true connection, so we need to make sure that's moving on.
Absolutely.
I don't understand why Ross doesn't come to these meetings.
He will be coming, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to action items. Approval of system performance report and safety targets. Ollie?
Good morning.
If you recall, we talked about safety targets back in November when we adopted the other system performance targets, and we talked about supporting FDOT in adopting the Vision Zero. So today is February month is the deadline to adopt our safety targets now, and the staff is proposing to our MPO to support DOT and adopt the Vision Zero. The system performance report is in your packet, and the safety targets, we just put zeros. And we know you're not going to be able to meet the target, as we talked about. It's just making a statement. And actually, when we got the data for year 2017, all the serious injuries and fatalities are going up. And this may continue for a few years until we can have a more aggressive safety programs. And I believe John has a video presentation, John?
Yes.
So we can talk about a sample of what can be done in terms of marketing and also looking at implementing safety projects. So with that, we're looking for the board to approve the system performance report, which includes the new safety targets for 2019.
Been on there a long time. Or is that-
Did you see you had a video?
Yeah, so just to piggyback on what Ali's saying, our goal is to try to be more aggressive with safety, whether it's through finding some funding or whether it's through doing some outreach. We wouldn't do it solely as an MPO, but we could work with the county and the cities. But what we wanted to share with you was something that's being done in Polk County. And they did a few just little 30-second clips, and it was kind of nationally recognized. But I think when you see these little clips, it'll hit home what they're on about and what we would also like to meet my wife.
All right, there you go. Just make sure we get that right.
Well, and her.
The typical stopping distance of a car increases as speed increases. At 30 miles per hour, a driver needs 75 feet or more to stop. At 50 miles per hour, the same driver needs 175 feet or more to come to a complete stop. Pledge to slow down. Slower speeds give drivers more time to react.
I know, but if I don't get a license to run a train, I'll make it.
This is my Nana. This is my husband.
This is my call.
Everyone backs to someone.
Pledge to slow down and drive safely.
I like this.
Yeah.
It's good.
A pedestrian hit by a car going at 30 miles per hour has an 80% chance of survival. If the car is going 50 miles per hour, the chance of survival is only 20%. Speed kills. Driving slower can be the difference between life and death. Sign the pledge at pledgetoslodown.com.
I pledge to slow down and drive safely. To avoid crashes, I need time to see and stop for every bicyclist, every walker, and every vehicle.
Speed kills. Driving slower can make the difference between life and death.
Getting there safe is better than not getting there.
Every driver, passenger, pedestrian, and bicyclist is someone's loved one.
I want to protect my loved ones and come home safely.
Sign the pledge at pledgetoslodown.com.
Nice.
Yes, thank you, John. A couple of those were pretty powerful.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a quick question, or statement. You know, the billboard companies that have gone electronic do PSAs for the county, so maybe something to look into. I know you can't run the whole video, but if you're looking at getting the message across, they do so many PSAs for us.
And you can be reading the billboard while you're driving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then, whoops, I met a red light, I missed that red light.
Well, if you drive slow
There you
enough,
go.
you can read it.
But-
So, yes, thank you, that's great.
Yeah, so.
Any further discussion?
I like that, and I think we should borrow it or do something similar. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have their commissioners on ours, but
Oh, we can do our own. I mean, have some of you participate. We're going to look into some kind of a program and maybe reach out to a consultant or other counties and cities and see what we can develop. But it's the education side of safety, but there's also the actual doing other treatments related to safety action plans. So it's a continuum of things, but this is a good start.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you. Just maybe get with Tamry internally, because they obviously have the equipment and the editing capabilities to do something like that. Work with Andy back there, my guy too. He can help you.
Mr. Chair, and I think even with the cities, there's lots of different things and events, big, and opportunities to disseminate as well as get that through the county. So I think they're well done. I think there's even that just pledge to slow down slogan there is just wonderful in itself. So there's some great opportunities.
Thank you.
I'd move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Oh,
that was an action item?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We will move on next to CAC members' reappointments. John?
Yes, so every year we just do a little house cleaning on all our different committees. So the CAC committee seems to be fully stacked or fully loaded. We do notice that Commissioner Oakley has an appointment that he can make for his region, so we'll remind him of that. But all we're seeking at this time is if you do have folks that are interested or anyone has approached you, we would certainly entertain any alternates. What we've put in front of you is Commissioner Mariano had recommended that we put together some kind of a flyer to recruit. So that applies to, if you look on the back, it has dates of all the committees that we participate in. And this can be used when we're recruiting for the BPAC or the LCB or what have you. But on the flip side, it has all the other meeting dates. So I remember Mayor Hernandez had asked for some kind of list of all the different committees like TMA and stuff ahead of time so that if you were interested in participating, you knew in advance when those meetings would be.
Can we get this electronically? I mean, it'd be great to
Absolutely.
have, this is nice to put in our city halls and other things, but electronically so we can get it out to specific people that we know may be interested. That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
So it didn't mean to be an action item, but it was meant to just remind any of you, if you have current members that you're interested in, let us know.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you. So I do have a nomination for an alternate for Rob Cirque. I think I sent you guys maybe an email. Chris Poole.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a motion, if I can get a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that.
Well, he's got to call the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And one more thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the dates. So I'm looking at the at-large members on the last page. And I go down to the very last one, which is a Christy Zimmer. It says appointed or reappointed date 9 of 04 in expiration of 10/20. Is that an error of the 9 of 04? Because if it's a 3-year term, that would have expired in 2007.
Yes, so they're 3-year terms, but they're renewed every 3 years if they're asked to participate or if they want to remain on the committee. We don't have, I guess, a sunset for committee members if they want to continue to volunteer.
Commissioner, she came on board on September of 2004. That's the last date. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking at the people 15, 17, 16, and their expiration aligns with their 3-year terms. You can see, if you go up to the top, it says 16 expires 19, 17 expires 20, 15 or 16 expires 19, and then we have 04 expires in 20.
Okay, good point.
And I will get with Mr. Chant with the city of Newport Richey and see if we can get an alternate for that vacant position. But it is important, I think, that we get these alternate members filled. Is there any other action needs to be taken? Do we need to vote on anything on this?
That's all we were asking.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question.
Sure.
So this, even with these vacancies, I mean, these meetings usually, there's no issues with quorums and things like that. They have been held regularly and we have the representation. Okay.
Commissioner Mariano?
Yeah, and I want to thank John for putting this together so we can go out and work for our alternates. I know my representative's been pretty responsive from day one he's been on there, but thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, well, staff.
Thank you, staff, for doing this.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on to approval of TSMO Memorandum of Understanding. Is Eric Hill here? Mr. Hill?
Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This morning, I'm going to be sharing with you some information on transportation systems management and operations. This is an emerging discipline in the industry. It's an emerging discipline in the industry, looking at how we can improve mobility and safety on our transportation network. So my presentation this morning is going to speak about TSMO, give you some background, and I'm going to start with some factoids to make the business case, and then discuss the regional TSMO program that we are providing to the MPOs in the I-4 corridor. So first, just some factoids. When you look at congestion, most people think congestion is caused by a lack of capacity. In essence, it's not. It's caused by things like weather, incidents on the roadway, work zones, poor signal retiming or poor signal timing. And that's in the urban area. And when you look in the rural area, congestion is caused more by incidents. When you think about safety and mobility and the causes of congestion, safety is a critical component. In rural areas, it takes a lot longer for emergency management services to respond to incidents in rural areas. Usually that results in a fatality because of the time that's involved. So when you look at congestion, and that's the area that most people complain about when you look at transportation, it's not caused by the lack of capacity, which is what we have typically looked at throughout the 20th century. Now that we're in the 21st century, all of that has evolved. The National Operations Centers of Excellence, this is an organization that promotes TSMO. It is represented by the Federal Highway Administration, other transportation agencies, and their whole mission is to advocate for TSMO. And again, they're looking at what do we need to do in the 21st century to improve mobility and safety. And TSMO, while it is not the only answer, it is an opportunity for us to meet those safety concerns as well as improve mobility. Real quick, I mentioned the 20th century versus the 21st century in transportation planning. When we look at how we've done it in the 20th century, we looked at system tools and functions. It's all been separated. As we move into the future, we're going to have to integrate a lot of the efforts and plans and programs and services, strategies that we look at to improve transportation. Look at data and information. That's been historic. The MPOs, we typically, when we start to update our long-range plan, we look at what has happened in the past, and we make the assumption that it's going to continue into the future. I would submit to you a lot of the technology that's being developed now, especially for our vehicles. We can't do that. We can't look at the past and project what's going to happen in the future because we really don't know. The decision-making process has been reactive. Things happen and we react to that. We're going to have to start to look at predicting what's going to happen in the future a little bit better. Resources, they've been static. Again, we've looked at the past and we just assume that's going to stay the same in the future. It's going to be dynamic now. I suspect that most of us did not know what Uber was 7 years ago. I knew it as a German word for grandiose. Well, now it's a $60 billion company. Things like that will continue into the future. And then the capital process. We would build it, hope they'd come, then we walk away from it as it starts to need maintenance and repair. So in the future, we have to start integrating over the life cycle of the projects and estimating how things are going to change. Now, I'll stop with the factoids with this. I'm a big fan of the National Football League. As a disclaimer, I am infatuated with technology, but I'm not in love with technology because I know that many of us are Facebook users and we probably weren't happy when Cambridge Analytica got a hold of our data. So again, I'm infatuated with, not in love. But over this past season, I was watching a game in this commercial on a Nissan product. came up. And at the end, the tagline was technology that moves people. They're selling technology now. They're not really selling cars. They're not selling you cars. They're selling you technology. So TSMO. TSMO is strategies that we use, information communication technology to optimize our transportation system. Many of us have been on the roads, and we've been detected so that the traffic signal will change for us. The data that we generate as we travel on our roadways helps DOT and their traffic management centers provide you with information on the roadway conditions so that you can decide on what's going to be the best route for you to take. Some of the strategies that we have been deploying and will continue to enhance are traveler information systems, incident management systems. That's a big one. Road rangers, highway helpers, highway heroes. Imagine what the roadway conditions would be like if we didn't have these service patrols responding to crashes and incidents, a person with a flat tire, because that's what generates the congestion. Smart work zones. How can we be more efficient and effective in giving travelers alternatives through work zones? Managed lanes, you will hear more and more about this. I failed to mention that I'm the Director of Transportation Systems Management and Operations for Metropolitan Orlando. That big area over there to the, I guess that would be the east of here. And we have this huge project called the I-4 Managed Lane Project. Well, you'll see more and more of that appearing on our interstate systems, giving you the opportunity to either stay in general use lanes or to go ahead and ante up to use a much faster system. And then traffic signal timing. This is one of the areas that we have had a lot of success in, a lot of support in our TSMO program. So quickly, some of the benefits that we have realized using TSMO strategies has been a decrease in travel time and delay, improved reliability, reduction in crashes, lower vehicle operating costs, improved collaboration. That's a real big one, and that's part of the reason why I'm speaking with you this morning. How can we collaborate across the I-4 corridor in developing TSMO strategies? Better agency efficiencies using resources, lower implementation costs tied with these strategies, and then faster implementation timelines. I'll speak with you a little bit more about our TSMO program and some of the strategies that we've developed and the reason why we've done it. And this is it. About 15 years ago, our chair, who was Orange County Commissioner, Ted Edwards, he got wind of the whole traffic incident management strategy. And when there's a crash or incident on the roadway, if it sits there, traffic gets delayed, not only on the side of the roadway that it's happened, but on the other side because you have what they call rubberneckers. People want to look over there and see what's going on. So that generates congestion on the other side. And so he and I got together and started talking about how can we improve that. And so we went outside of what we call the MPO sandbox and embraced law enforcement, fire and rescue, the media, the towing industry, and we did a Move It Yes You Can campaign. Now, I'm from a generation.
You did a what? Move it.
Move it, yes you can. I'm from a generation, when I learned to drive, I was told if I was in a crash, I'm to stay right there. Don't move the vehicle. For liability. Here in the state of Florida, if you do that, that is a ticket. That's a violation. Because if the vehicles are operable, there are no injuries, you need to move the vehicles out of the way. So there was an education component. Because there were a lot of people from my generation that are out there driving, and that's what they understand. And so, again, this was part of the collaboration, working with other jurisdictions outside of our own little sandbox to see how we can improve mobility. And we created a TSMO department. We now have a formal TSMO department. I'm the director, with staff, with budget, to pursue strategies in TSMO. We have a committee. It's a formal committee. The chair of our TSMO committee sits at the board table and reports out on what's going on with TSMO. And then funding. I mentioned we have a department. We use our portion, 21% of our surface transportation improvement funds go to TSMO strategies every year. So we are going to our jurisdictions and we are challenging them to come to us with TSMO strategies, and they've responded. And then champions. This is a real big one right here. Ted Edwards was our first champion. Some of you may remember Congressman John Micah. He was a big champion of the TSMO program, did a lot for us. More recently, we have Commissioner Bob DeLaury from Seminole County, who's representing us as a champion. So these are just some of the components of our TSMO program that has helped us be successful. I mentioned signal retiming. When we started our signal retiming program, we do what's called a before and after study. So, you know, we don't just put a project out there and say, okay, we don't say this project's going to do X, Y, Z, put it out there and then just walk away and don't evaluate it. So what we did is we said we want to go out and we want to collect travel time before we do the retiming, and then collect travel times after we do retiming. And we want to put some cost to that, some real tangible measurement to that. So we started doing a benefit cost analysis. And so the first couple years we did this, we had big returns. And that's what helped us prove that TSMO strategies do in fact work. Now, you see it's going down. Some of that has to do with, you know, recovery from the recession, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that when we started, we did not have our commuter rail system in place, SunRail. So all the traffic was going north-south. When we created SunRail, traffic had to go east-west to access the stations. So we started to see a reduction in the amount of returns that we were getting back from our retirement. The other reason why there's been a decline is that as you start with an improvement like that, there's going to be big returns. But each time you come back, it's going to be going down, which it should. And then overall, here's a look at, because Metropolitan Atlanta represents 3 counties, the investments that we've been making in what we call our Intelligent Transportation System program, the returns that we've been getting, the investments and the returns. So our board believes in it. We've shown the benefits of it, and we continue to invest in this program. So what I'm here to speak with you this morning about is over the last year, we've had some discussion with the other MPOs in I-4 corridor about what we can do to create some consistency across the region in Central Florida. Now, here's another factoid for you. I live in Tampa, but I work in Orlando. Now, I spend a lot of time on I-4. I've seen it evolve. We do practice what we preach, so I telework. I work at home sometimes. But the times that I have over the last 20 years, I celebrate 20 years at Metropolitan Atlanta. Yeah, I've been doing that for 20 years. I saw the reaction on your face. I've seen how it's expanded, how it's gotten free flow at times, but now it's back to being congested. Over a year ago, I was at the Polytechnic University for a reception one evening, and I was standing on the veranda facing I-4. It was in the evening. Ed McKinney in District 7 and I were talking. We were talking about TSMO. And I shared with him, I said, you know, Ed, in the morning when I'm leaving, when I'm going through Plant City, there's a row of cars just sitting there. When I get over 27, there's a row of cars, or better yet, I add to the row of cars that are sitting there. I said, at some point, we're going to see the row of cars sitting right out here unless we start to be proactive in how we address this. So that kind of like started the conversation, started having a conversation with the other MPOs, John as well. We'll talk about the operation improvements on I-4, the safety concerns, because I-4 is rated as the worst road in the nation, safety, and then the economic opportunities. Transportation is economic development. And if we can improve what goes on in this corridor, it's going to help our economies. We have a huge tourist industry in the corridor. And so the better we're able to get the tourists to be able to move around, the better we're going to do economically. So this morning, I'm asking for approval on the Memorandum of Regional Cooperation. A copy of it is in your agenda package. And what this entails is just me working with your MPO staff. That's it, to help develop your TSMO strategies. Now, we've had success. We have a robust program. I don't think that's going to be mirrored by any MPO, and the other MPOs that are included is Polk TPO, Sarasota Manatee, Hillsborough, Pinellas Ford. Now, each of them are different, so it's not one size fits all. Each of them has a different capacity in terms of their staff, so that has to be taken into account. So we want to just, I just want to be able to come over and work with your staff, develop some TISMO strategies, and look at how we can improve or reduce the amount of congestion, because, as I said, I live in Tampa, so I know what it's like on 56. On Saturday, going to the outlets, I know what that's like, okay? So just to help you, again, just to provide the knowledge. It's just a knowledge-sharing exercise of what we're doing. But part of it is going to be, again, looking at assessing staff, assessing what it is you are trying to achieve, what are your demands, your needs, and then let's start to look at some TISMO strategies that we can develop. The institutional, organizational, and procedural, that phrase has to do with how do you get Pasco County MPO to evolve from a 20th century MPO to a 21st century MPO. And I implore that to you because that is the evolution that the industry is going into or is going to have to deal with. Next year is the end of the current federal transportation bill, so that's going to have to be updated, and there's going to be some changes in the language and the role that MPOs play. I have a rich history with the MPO. When they were created pretty much to exercise or make sure that the interstate system was completed. That's complete. And as I mentioned earlier, the way that we move, the challenges that we now face, whether they're environmentally, legal, whatever, that's going to change, and the strategies that we look at in terms of providing mobility and addressing safety, they're going to have to change as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm done, and I can respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any questions, Commissioner Mariano?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Tell me how you worked your situation as far as timing the lights. I saw Seminole County where Commissioner Delary, Commissioner Constantine are from, and that was like a huge return on investment. How did you actually work on timing the lights, and what was the process?
So what we do annually, we challenge our jurisdictions to come to us with roadways that need to have their signals retimed. So they provide us with a list of roadways. We have allocated almost $1 million for the retirement exercise each year. So each year, we just ask the jurisdictions to come to us with the roadways, and we do the retirement. Now, when we started the retirement program, the Florida Department of Transportation would do this for us. They would manage this. But we have grown our TISMO program, and we've developed the confidence in them, or they developed confidence in us in managing this. So now we, Metropolitan Atlanta, we do the signal retirement. So we start with identifying corridors. We just go ahead and do the data collection on the front end. Then we do the retiming. We have a consultant come in and do the retiming. And then we do the same consultant that collected the data at the beginning, they collect the same data at the end, and then they do the analysis on what improvements have happened as a result of those retirements.
So tell me the difference that we can expect from what we get now with DOT. We've got the latest and greatest of timing mechanisms up and down Little Road, US 19, I'm sure elsewhere. How are you going to help us improve to what DOT is already working with us now?
Well, what we would be doing is, again, having staff work with the department, identifying those roadways that need to be retimed, looking at how they're going to measure the benefits of that retirement exercise, and then developing, again, that capacity of coming to you and reporting that information. Because one of the elements that we found is we do a good job in doing signal retirement, but we don't report it. We don't say anything about it. We do a great job when things don't work well in reporting, but when things work well, we do a not so good job. So again, it would be just working more closely with the department in this area.
And at some point, I'd maybe like to hear from DOT to give a presentation how they think they can help and how they think the effect would be. One of the things that with Orlando, and I've heard, I know the board's probably heard me say several times with two daughters that were going to school up at Orlando and watching the driving they would do. Literally, I had one daughter who lived at the back of Disney World, worked at Disney World, and she would have to go to one of the colleges up there, Valencia. And she was probably like 10 miles away, but it would take her at least a half an hour a day, and she'd have to go on tolls to get to these things. The roadways up there, as I see them, they don't give you a lot of east and west and where the connections are as far as to be able to go up there. But we look at the maps, we try to figure it out. Time and time again, every month, she would try to avoid the tolls. And again, she's only making that one drive, and it was only to school back. And we spent $50 a month on her tolls. Amber, working on campus in Orlando, living and working on campus, she would spend $50 a month. And I would look at the roadways and the maps to go through, and you guys have roadways that go up, they go over, they go up, they go over, they go up. They don't go straight through. We can go take a turn all the way across and connect all the way up. It's like they're driving you to take these toll roads. So I'll tell you, when I see the managed lane concept and you kind of want to bring this technology here and try to advance us up there, I don't want to get into this managed lane world. And the traffic that's up there, because you don't connect, because the toll roads have to make money. If they don't make money, they don't want to see a connection made if they're not getting the ridership. So they drive you to these places where you have to go on toll road after toll road after toll road. I really don't want to see us adopting this plan to come into that. If you can help us with timing of lights, I maybe take a baby step forward with you.
Sure.
Prove yourself there, and then we can go look at this. But the connection system with toll roads and managed lanes, the toll road companies, from what I can understand, can say, look, we don't want that road connection because you'll hurt our ridership over here, you'll hurt our revenue.
And I agree with everything you said. As I mentioned, that is only one of the strategies, not the only strategy. Managed lanes.
And I'm just saying, I wouldn't mind taking a baby step with the work on timing, because we spent a lot of money on those timing of lights, and I think everyone will agree. I hope there's something we can do better. But as far as a managed lane concept, I really don't want to get in that world.
And as I mentioned, it is not one size fits all. There needs to be an assessment made on what are your interests, what are your needs, and sure, take a slow approach to it.
Commissioner Moore?
Hey, thank you. So, knowing Orlando very well, because I went to the University of Central Florida.
Go Knights.
Yeah, go Knights. But, yeah, you know, obviously, you're 50 or Colonial, you're east-west, right, or the East-West Expressway.
The 408.
Formerly East-West Expressway.
Yes.
I'm dating myself.
That's okay.
Right. But yeah, there's toll roads. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, traffic is pretty horrendous in Orlando, especially along that I-4 corridor once you get to Disney, and sometimes before Disney, like you said, 27, going all the way through Orlando, geez, until you get into what, Seminole County? You know,
And even once you get to Seminole County.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is okay. Commissioner Marion and I disagree a little bit on managed lanes. We've had that conversation before. But the understanding, you know, we talk about managed lanes and giving people options. So I'm a fan of managed lanes when there's the option not to be on the managed lane too. So you give people the option of either be on the managed lane or not in that managed lane, right? I.e. a toll lane or not a toll lane. If you want to spend the money, you can be in it. If you don't want to spend the money, you still have the option of not taking that faster lane. I think as time goes on, and you can probably confirm this, and I'm sure DOT can confirm this, it's going to be difficult to find the revenue to continue to build new roads, new highways. I think we're down probably, collection is probably about down 10% last year in gas tax in the state. That's my assumption. I think that's probably about right. As people continue to drive more efficient vehicles, we have more electric vehicles, and we're a donor state, right? Are we not a donor state when it comes to gas tax? Somebody, anybody?
Yes.
Yes, right. So we're a donor state, so we don't get to keep all those revenues. Maybe we need to look at closer, how can we keep all those revenues? But there's gonna have to be, I mean, you know, there's gonna be a point where revenues are going to continue to decrease when it comes to gas taxes. We're gonna have to figure out a way to build these roads or manage these roads, and I hate to say it, but it's gonna come down to tolls. It's more than likely gonna come down to that on a lot of these thoroughfares. And you look at the counties in the state, if they don't have the revenues to maintain it, I mean, they're just gonna start falling apart. My opinion. But again, I always want to have options for people. I want to make sure there's an option of not having to pay the tolls, or you have an option to pay the tolls. just like we make decisions in our life, if we want to spend extra for a fancier meal or nicer clothes, you can decide if you want to spend money to get somewhere quicker.
Commissioner Starkey?
I'm very much a fan of managed lanes. I agree with Commissioner Moore. You have choice, you have options. You can leave earlier, or you can pay more. And people who are paying for the managed lanes help decrease the amount of traffic in the unmanaged lanes. And I also think that you probably have a best practice here, and that it's a great opportunity for us. So I would recommend that we do the MOU. Thank you.
Motion?
I would second that.
That would be a
Second.
motion.
Any further discussion?
And focusing a lot on what Commissioner Mariano said too, I appreciate on the timing and stuff, because that's very, very, very important.
Well, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
you know, to go further, Commissioner Moore, as you mentioned Colonial, that's a classic example. Now, would you ever take that road going all the way across, or would you jump on the toll road?
It takes a long
The
time.
timing of those lights is terrible.
Yes.
Right? You can go a half a mile, quarter mile, whatever it is, and you're stopping.
Yes.
If they time those lights, what are they going to do for us? So I'm a little suspect to what they can actually do. When I talk about the toll roads, for those who want to take them, let them take them. But the problem is, and literally, you can go look at the map. Go start yourself at Disney World, from Windermere Apartments.
I know.
Literally, 7 turns had to be made to get up there, or you could take a toll road. And a lot of those roads, here's what happens. They go along, they stop. You have to go up because the road dead ends. So you got to go up and over, pick another road, cross over again. It stops again and goes up and over. But meanwhile, on the other side of those roads, less than a quarter mile away, there's another road it could connect to. Had they put those connections in like a grid should work, you'd have better options. But when you go up, over, down, up, and over, it's not like taking another road beside it. We're talking about they make you take left turns, right turns, left turn, right turns, instead of getting where you got to go. And that's what slows you down. That's what purts it through. And the part of the reason is they don't want the connections, because if the road is too competitive with the toll road, people aren't going to take the toll road. And believe me, my girls, they try to be conservative, try to avoid the tolls, but there was no way to get to where you needed to go unless it was going to take you, instead of a half an hour, it was going to take you an hour.
Right.
And just because they never connected the roads. And that's the problem with the managed lanes.
Councilman Smith?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what you have presented is good. We share ideas. We're looking at what we can pick and choose that may work for our area or may not work for our area. But the sharing of ideas and the managing of traffic is what's going to have to happen. We used to make many trips to Atlanta, and they were always constructing lanes in Atlanta, and it didn't matter how many lanes they made, the traffic still terrible. I mean, they always, lanes is not the answer in my opinion, you know. It helps, but we've got to manage the traffic better. And as I drive, and you do the same, every one of you drive from this side of the county to the other side of the county, the times are getting longer and longer all the time. I mean, I've noticed 15 minutes difference in the last few years. So we've got to get smarter at managing our traffic, and I think sharing ideas between everybody is great. We'll pick, we kind of select what we think might work and might not work, but I'm glad you're here and I'm in support of it.
Mayor?
And I would agree. I think, you know, this is all about sharing ideas. I know we're focused on managed lanes right now, but there's other things you brought up and other discussions. So I think, yeah, there's nothing to be lost. There's no cost. And certainly I think it's in our best interest to move forward with the memorandum to engage in that collaboration and sharing of ideas. We have nothing to lose.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, may
Yes.
I, before you take action, there was, your attorney reviewed the memorandum of understanding and made some suggestions and offered some language to it under therefore, the last paragraph. This is an agreement that we're asking each of the MPOs in the corridor to execute, as well as each of the districts, because we're talking about 3 FDOT districts, 7, 5, and 1. In speaking with Florida DOT, they are trying to decide if each district should sign the document or if central office should sign the document. Their comment is also that in that last paragraph, they recommend that we just eliminate that item altogether because it's just an understanding, a memorandum of understanding. It's not a legal agreement in any way. The only resource sharing is Eric Hill, and that cost is taken care of. And the whole idea behind the memorandum is just for us to show a commitment and what we're doing. So I just wanted you to be aware of that before you take action.
It's understood, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. Was that two opposed?
Were you a yea or a nay?
Nay.
No.
Thank you.
Our next action item is approval of the LRTP needs plan, project prioritization criteria. Ali, there you go.
Yes, good morning again. So we are, as you know, we are doing the LRTP due December of this year. So as we develop LRTP, we look at we evaluate roadway capacity projects, and these are the criteria we're gonna be using. There is no, each criteria will have a weight factor to it. So I'm going to go through each criteria so you all know, just briefly explain what each criteria mean. The first one is project phase status, meaning that we will look at the roadway improvements that already have some phase spent on it, like design, right away, already you have it, so you get more points. If we look at the existing congestion, that gets point. Safety is a big factor. Multimodal, is this roadway project has some transit component in it? Socio-cultural, environmental EJ impact, meaning does the road project has any benefit or impact to the EJ or has negative impact? Hurricane evacuation, is the roadway part of hurricane evacuation route? Is it part of a regional network? Does the roadway provide access to a major activity or employment center? And then for each of these criteria, we have a weight, meaning that which one is more important. So staff came up with weighting factors, as you can see. And then we took it to TAC and CAC, and they came up with different numbers. And we are presenting all that to you. There is no science to this. This is just based on what you like to see as what you think is more important. So we are looking for MPO to give us direction as to what you all want to do. At the end of the day, when we select roadway projects in the LRTP, you will have a say into, if you have your own project, this is just a technical tool. So we give you the projects, and then you can, pick and choose what project you want at the end of the day.
Any questions or comments?
Looks like Old Pasco, we're ranked number 1.
Old Pasco Road, maybe.
That criteria.
Well, even if it, I'm thinking Old Pasco Road will be there. But
I'm having fun.
Commissioner Mariano?
So this is just for roadways, not talking sidewalks, just roadways?
Just roadway.
So if you've got other roads, let's say that, your project phase status, let's say you get a roadway that's been on the list for 20 years, but it never makes the top of the list, but it's still a roadway. And probably County Line Road might be an ideal road to look at in the north part of the county. That's a road that has never made it past number 13, 14. It's been on that list, and it gets more crowded and more crowded.
County Line Road, Hernando County Line Road, yes, that's a perfect example. They've done a PD&E, their portion is already done, so that in that criteria should get a high point. And that project actually is in the LRTP. It's in the 2040 LRTP. The only thing is when you go to the priority process you do every year to do the TIP, which is your 5-year program, there are other projects that are ahead of it. That has been the problem. The LRTP is a longer term, goes all the way to 2040, and now this time it's going to be 2045. We never had any issue to put that project in the LRTP, but it just, when you go to the priority list every year for TIP, that it's kind of like other roadway projects been ahead of it.
And continually, it's gonna happen. I mean, I would give you an example, the Ranch Road project. I mean, it's a road that serves very non-affluent folks. It's a road that goes right up to 19, and that sidewalk project has been on the list for how many years? And it just never moves up. I'm glad to hear Zimmerman's gonna be moving up for good reason with the schools. But you've got, you know, county line roads, again, that roadway that's important to the two counties, whereas we made it a higher priority before Hernando did, and then the roles are flip-flop, that road needs to get done. But if you're gonna go by this scoring here, there's no credit for a project list being on there for all those years. And it could be, you know, that's just one road, but it could be, you know, any other road. So I think there should be more substance done to something that's done, because just because the new and hottest, greatest, and Old Pasco Road is a great road to get done, we're gonna need to get it done, but at the same time, you're leaving behind other things going on. You know, whether it be east side, west side, center, that should be somehow factored in there as far as to give it some more weight.
Welcome, Commissioner Oakley. Commissioner Stark?
And how would Tower Road, which I think is a very important road, how would that fall in on this?
Well, Tower Road, again, that road also has been in the LRTP. So again, looking at implementing Tower Road, it's more fit into the county program, unless if you want to bring it into the LRTP and using federal money in our priority list to do it in the TIP, then we have to do a PD&E study that federalizes the project.
Yeah,
We
no,
are
I
not
know.
doing a PD&E on Tower Road. We're going to be doing a RAF study toward the eastern end, and then it's more discussion with the county, and we will talk to the county when we develop our LRTP. But again, Tower Road has been in the LRTP, and I am 100% sure it will stay in the LRTP. That will be a project that will stay. Again, it go back to your 5-year work program. Right now, we're talking long term.
Tower is not in the 5-year road.
It's
program.
not, no.
And I think we need to start talking about that, especially, you know, when they build that, there's a high school that's gonna be on that road. So Tower, just so you guys know where Tower is, it's the road that will, kind of takes off from 54 in front of Starkey Ranch. It goes behind Asturia, behind Bexley. It goes over the Suncoast. It goes, Asturia, I can't remember the other, the Preserve, goes over the Suncoast, and that is where we get that flyover for pedestrians and cyclists. It goes through Bexley and all that is coming to that area. Bexley has already built their portion of it. It goes through to 41, and then, does it go past 41?
Eventually, supposed
Yeah.
to.
But it's
Through
a reliever.
Caliente Boulevard all the way to
Yeah.
to Erin Cutoff and 52.
So what Tower does is relieves the east-west traffic from 54 that's going in that direction. And there is a lot of development going on in that quarter, and I just really think we need to start talking about Tower Road. And I think we are discussing another interchange on the the tollway on the Suncoast. I don't know if we're gonna have another one or not, but
We gave a concept to Turnpike for Tower Road interchange, because they had an issue about interchange at Tower being so close to 54. So we give them a concept that you can accomplish an interchange without having weaving issues. So we give them a lot of data. They're looking at it. We met with them. There was no, at this point, there is no fatal flaw. So I'm hoping that when we develop the LRTP, we have some answer, so we can put something in there, because that area needs, I mean, you can't dump everything at 54.
right, and there are a lot of jobs coming to that area, and so if we can get that relief going for that intersection, I think it's a good thing.
Any other comments, Commissioner Mariano?
No, it's a great comment, and one of the things we did talk about years ago was to have that access from Tower Road to the Suncoast, because it's, yeah, granted, it's close from their parameters, but if you go further down the Veterans, they have them just as close, so I think that should happen. But again, that's another thing as far as like picking the roads. which ones need to get done at certain times. I mean, Ridge Road is like another one that's got to be, pushed along as well, and hopefully we'll have some success coming up from what we hear. But anyway, to look at the chart and the total, it's okay, but I will say this, I think if you look at the funding is based upon countywide revenues that come in, right?
County and state and federal.
And I think if you look at the west side, the revenue generated from the west side compared to what gets spent in the west side, there'd be a big disproportionate shift. Now, maybe you don't need roads over there, but the other infrastructure to help, whether it be Arcadia, sidewalks anywhere around Moog Road, or whatever the case may be, those things that never got done seem to get kicked back, and there's not enough to that to get those balanced out. So I don't know if this is the best criteria. I think it still comes down to making decisions, what's going to be the best thing. But again, when you get projects that sit for so long that never get done, it just lags behind, and it suffers because the next HUD project coming in for, sometimes for good reason, but still there's not that weight for things that need to get done, they were acknowledged to get done 10 years ago, that are still on the list.
And these are great comments. And by the way, going back to the toll, Commissioner Mariano also suggested something at Shady Hills area for interchange, and they're looking at that too. But going back to the sidewalk and LRTP relationship, usually when we look at LRTP, when we go beyond 5 years, 20 years from now, we don't go in and look at specific locations where you may need a sidewalk. We do set aside funding and say, okay, beyond 5 years, we're going to set aside this much money every year to do a sidewalk or bicycle program. That has been the practice. So doing a sidewalk project more quicker and getting into your 5-year program, that's more of a priority discussion we have every year for the TIP, and talking with the county when you set the budget every year and looking at those to get things done quicker. LRTP just set the stage for those type of projects.
Thank you, Ellie. So this is just a tool, right?
This one
It's
is
not
just
the
a
end all.
tool, it's a technical
Right.
tool, and we're just looking for, if you all agree, I don't know whether you want to use staff, TAC, CAC, or a combination, so we just need some tool.
What
Thank you.
did you just say about the CAC?
Well, if you look at what staff proposed, the first column, and then TAC lowered the project phase status, and then add that to the existing congestion. So to them, congestion was more important than what staff thought. And then CAC agreed with TAC on the project status. They give it lower weight, and then they increased multimodal. They felt like if a roadway project has multimodal components, that should be more important than what staff proposed or TAC. And then they also increased hurricane evacuation scoring, and then they lowered the access to activity centers and employment center.
Any further comments or questions?
Well, are we supposed to pick one?
You can pick one or combination thereof, whatever your desire. At the end of the day, this is a technical tool, and we present projects to you when we do the needs plan, and you can, if a project you like didn't get there, collectively at this board, you can change projects.
So you look for approval to pick one of the three?
One of the three or combination thereof. Like you can say, I like what TAC did on project status, but I don't like what they did on congestion.
What's the pleasure of the board? Commissioner Mariano?
How about a category for those projects that have been sitting for so long, but as well as, there's 5 county commission districts. And I don't think there's any allocation looked at between where the money's being allocated. It used to be in program maintenance. That kind of went away. And I think it may be coming back. But I mean, let's go take a look at where's the priority as far as what money's being spent in what districts, because it's all equal population, should be close to equal revenues. Is there a category for that to make sure you're gonna get a balance about where the money's being spent?
I think we talked about that. It doesn't fit into a technical category. It's more about this entire board sit down, we present all the projects, and we can break them down by area and all that, and as a board, we felt that that's more appropriate. That it doesn't fit into a technical category.
So also, Commissioner Mariano, we're sensitive to equity, and we want to do a little analysis of how things are being distributed, and that could kind of be a tiebreaker when you are deciding that maybe the scoring isn't what you want at some point. You want this project to go over this project. That could maybe be the reasoning, because one district has more than another. So that's something we're willing to look at, for sure.
I think, and I know we've looked at the analysis, and you kind of look in the maps when you look at the roadway projects, where the money's being spent, et cetera. But I think if that gets looked at, I mean, everybody's paying these taxes, everybody's paying for it. Let's go take a look at it. You know, so you're obviously separating out impact fees where the growth is supposed to pay its own way. The money should be distributed closely to each district.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Me, and just listening to my citizens, obviously most of their main concern is congestion level, right? And let's just be honest, people don't want to sit in traffic. That's common sense stuff, right? Thinking of it from an economic development standpoint, I mean, we need to have easy access to the employment centers, and we're trying to work hard with our EDC and the commission and such to bring more companies here, and they want to make sure that they have the access to those employment centers. Obviously, everything's important, right? I mean, everything's important. Public safety or safety always has been important and ranked high too. I mean, I'm inclined to go with staff's recommendation. I think those numbers line up the best, in my opinion. So,
is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Mased?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, is this valuation criteria, is this set in stone, or can it be?
Well, if you change it later, then it creates a lot of staff time to go back, change it, and reprioritize projects. That's why we bring it to you early on. So, but then again, this will be set in stone, but when you select projects for the LRTP, that is not set in stone. You can, as a board, you can come and say, I don't like this project, and I want this project, and you can play that whatever you want as a board collectively.
Well,
this is just a technical tool.
Having trouble with this is I sit here most of the time. I don't even know where these roads are. So I'm over on very west Pasco, and the money all seems to be flowing against the grain. So I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish, but couldn't you hit something in here? I think you said, you mentioned it could be taken into evaluation, how long these things have been sitting. And I guess I'm just saying, I don't want to move to East Pasco. And I don't know if there's a model that could change this or not.
All those in favor?
Aye. I guess.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Starkey?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just to make one comment as far as like the revenue spent. If everybody's driven down Little Road, let's say from Ridge Road to the north, and you drive up and down that road, and you can kind of get a feel like, how old is that road? When was the last time that was done? That's where the balance needs to be spent as well. You got to look at the roads you've already got built, and if you can't take care of those, you've got issues. And I will tell you, people up and down are waiting to see that road. What's our long-term plan to fix it? So much as new growth is coming, and we had impact fees that's supposed to take care of most of that, you got to take care of what you get as well.
I agree.
Thank you.
Commissioner Oakley, would you like to join us up here, or you content down there? We have an open seat now.
I can join you.
All right. Our next action item is approval of the MPO 18-008 time extension.
Do we need a report, or can we just approve it?
You don't need a
Move to
report?
approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Pasco County Public Transportation Report updates.
What's happening? Good morning, all. Not a lot to go over other than some numbers.
and in a potential problem that we're getting from one of our customers. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. We're growing. We just did our last NTD numbers, which is due at the end of January. And right now, we're about 5% compared to 2 years ago to last year. So we're well above the curve of what is PCPT is growing, especially for the around compared to everybody else. They're going about 1 to 2%. We're a little bit more on that. Significant growth in our paratransit people that we're carrying to various locations, about 15 to 16% around in there. The other thing is that we received a complaint recently about our Route 41. Currently, we kind of go over to the off of Collier Road and service some a recreation center right over there. The problem is they said that they never seen anybody get on there, and they want to know, why do we even go over there? Just a second. Sorry about that. So we're looking into that. You may all hear that from your various constituents that they're over there, but they are, there is a complaint. So far, we cannot find if we have actually picked anybody up over there. So eventually, if that's the case, I'm going to clean up that and make it a little bit better and hopefully get more people on that route. So we may remove that little leg over there, because it does, you look at the schedule, it kind of makes it confusing on where we're going at what time. So, yes, sir.
Is it going to the rec center, or is it going to the library, or is it going to both?
It goes to the libraries. It parks out in front of the libraries.
Yeah, okay. There's no ridership on the library, huh?
It's in that parking lot right there that they go in there. It's right there. It's like
where
in
the
the
tennis
middle.
court is?
I'm sorry?
Where the tennis court is next to the library?
I think it's closer to the library than not. It kind of goes around the corner there.
Kind of in the parking lot of the library, that side parking lot there?
Yes, sir.
Where the recycling bins are?
I don't think we park by the recycling bins, but I think we're close to there. That's
Yeah,
where we're
anything
turning.
else, like any other route, we've had this discussion before, whether throughout the county, if there's no ridership, you gotta reevaluate, right? So,
Yeah. I'm just letting you know, you may hear something back. We are doing some surveys. I have not got the results back on that. They've got one more week of surveys to go. Yes, ma'am.
So when I was in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, I lived in Northern California, across the bay from San Francisco. And
San Mateo?
above the hills of, I was born in Redwood City, but this was in the hills above Oakland. And we used the bus, my friends and I, to go everywhere, to the library, to San Francisco. My girlfriends and I, we went to San Francisco to get our ears pierced, just, 6th grade.
You hop on the bus.
On the bus. I don't think our youth know that that's an option and that it's safe. I mean,
Well, we've been having low ridership there, so we've been really hitting the high schools in that area saying, hey, there's a bus here.
Yeah.
Especially, this one blank, is it Lake, the one right there by the school off of, on Gator Road. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Land O'Lakes?
Yes, ma'am, Land O'Lakes, thank you. We've been doing a big push there, and we've been doing some other pushes at other high schools, actually holding training at some of the schools to let them know that we've got that. We're about to kick off our summer pass program again, and we're really going to hit the Land O'Lakes, so hopefully we get some people down that way.
Yeah, so if the kids knew they could take the bus to the rec center or the library and do programs there during the summer or whatever, I think that would be great. And I wonder if we might consider some kind of PR campaign to let our youth know that the buses are safe and they can cheaply get to
Already
certain
working
places.
on that, ma'am. We're out to bid right now for a marketing campaign to do a branding refresh, but part of that campaign is what do we need to do to get the message out there to potential riders? And that should be wrapping up relatively soon. We got the grant for that from Florida, so that was really nice. And then we actually have some money left over on that grant to actually implement that campaign, and that's the plan right now. But you are correct. It's high school kids, especially during summertime, gives them a chance to ride the bus and they don't have to stay at home. They can go meet their friends somewhere, like at the library.
And I just wonder if we should just really get an organized effort to get schools to have their classrooms participate in how to use the buses.
Yes, ma'am. So just in case anybody hears about something like that, we are working on it. If it does pan out, then we will be working probably have a public hearing or a meeting with everybody and see if anybody has any concerns or complaints or reasons to keep it. And if we have to, we'll move away from that one area, keeping the 41, hopefully making that a better service for everybody.
Any other, Commissioner Mariano?
You know, it might be a great thing to actually build the youth to actually start using the bus more
Yeah.
when possible. So maybe the rates need to go even lower, just to kind of get them to fill up.
Free even.
You know, for a couple of years or whatever, to see how it goes.
Using the bus, yeah. Yeah,
Unfortunately,
running anyway, doesn't hurt us. It
I've seen it go
builds
both ways on
knowledge.
that, sir. We're planning on doing a fare study and seeing if reducing the student fare to entice people onto the bus. That's one of the things that's going to be part of that study. So that is in my plans. I'm just waiting for our federal grants to get approved. And once that does, then we will be looking at a fare study.
Okay.
And addressing exactly your point, sir. Which way do we need to go on that?
Any other questions or concerns?
I got a couple of things to talk about.
Sure, go ahead.
You know, in certain areas, you see different people have different bus stations where people go, bus shelters where they can go. And I've looked at ours that we've had out there. We approved it several years ago, and the dark green color, the plexiglass that kind of fades, and I just don't know if they look that good over time. And I'm wondering, you know, when I look at some stuff, you know, up in Orlando, they have some fancy ones. I've seen Key West have some fancy ones. Manatee. So I think I'd like to see us maybe bring a presentation back about other buses, shelters that are out there. Take a look at it, maybe jazz them up, even if it's different areas we kind of use it on. And maybe the size doesn't need to be as large, or maybe they could be structured differently. I know with ADA, it gets very expensive when you have to go put all the extra concrete out there. So maybe have a presentation sometime coming back up. What are some other things we can do? How could we save money? Maybe we can build twice as many buses, bus shelters going that way as opposed to the way we're heading right now.
One of the things that I've noticed here is that it costs a lot of money to get bus shelters to put up in Pasco County. And we're looking at ways to where we can do better on that. And I agree with you, the plexiglass looks like, I can't say the word, but it looks not good. We're moving away from plexiglass. We are moving towards a basically tempered automobile, like on your windshield type of glass. Very easy to maintain. Someone stick stickers on it, you put some, WD-40 and scrape it off. So it harder to graffiti, harder to do damage to, and it's actually cheaper. As we find those other ones, and if you have some specific ones you want me to address, I'll work on those and get those fixed. We're doing that. But we are coming up on our next round of shelters, and that was part of I was going to say, these are different type of shelters we have. Which ones do you want? And I'm going to leave it up to you all to make that determination, and I'll have a presentation for you just like you're asking for. I'll give it to you ahead of time so you have time to look it over, and we'll work through the MPO process and give it to you, and then we'll go forward with those shelters. Because right now we're using kind of a special, almost custom, which raises the cost. I would like to pull something a little bit more off the shelf, whereas I like having nice ones, but I also like to have ones where I have more. And maybe do something like you mentioned Manatee County, because theirs is a lot less, more cheaper, is that the better way to put it? Cheaper to make it work. But I agree completely with you, sir. We need to look at our shelters and get something a lot sustainable, something that's going to last a while, yet still project the professional image that I would like to have, and I'm sure you all would like to have also from Pasco County Public Transportation.
Commissioner Starkey?
Two things come to mind. First, what if we had some contest with the high school art departments, or it doesn't even have to be a contest, but what if they adopt a bus shelter and paint it, really fun colors, different schools? The other thing is, I know of quite a few metal fabricators in the county, and then we have Amskills, who could easily make some cool things to go on the different shelters. I'm thinking of, the bird, our logo could go on it and the colors, and but I don't see why we can't even use our own people to make them a little more fun.
That's part of, I'm looking at the cost of that right now, putting the Pasco logo on it, on the tempered glass, because it's really easy to etch in there. And we are looking at a local contractor.
Which logo?
I'm sorry, sir?
Which logo?
I believe it's the one that says, it's got the bird, looks like a sun, the bird's flying away from the sun.
Pretty.
Large spaces, that one.
Yeah. I just like the traditional logo better, but that's okay.
Well, I would leave that up to your
your edification, when we actually got to the point, I'd leave it up to your decision to make which one you'd like to have.
Commissioner Mariano?
I think Commissioner Stark is really onto something. I think AM Skills is probably a great place to go. Put them to work. If they can be funded in a grant of some sort to go do the work for us and craft it up there, I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
That
they
is a
could
good
partner
idea.
with some of our guys, our
And
companies here in the county.
I like the high school idea too. Let's get our kids involved, and they start doing this. If they get involved in the bus stops, maybe they'll ride the bus itself.
Yeah.
It's not a scary thing to ride, or it's not what the cool kids do, or something like that.
I agree.
Maybe even the selection of the bus shelters you can get them involved in.
Well, we're with the Shady Hills route. We're actually driving by 5A. That'd be something for 5A. Maybe they might want to decorate it in the school colors or something like that.
Wouldn't that be
to-
cool? I love it. Let's roll
then they would
with
adopt
that.
it, and we would help maintain it, but they would also have a way to maintain it. And if they wanted to do something, let's say they had their homecoming, they can do something special with the shelter. We can coordinate things like that too.
All great ideas.
Yep. that was
Any
good.
other questions or
If
concerns?
we could kind of take a leap, I've not seen this in the country anywhere else, so could be kind of a cool thing for us, right?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is Casey Kersey here? Okay, Casey's got a presentation, Ms. Kersey has a presentation, Tri-County Long Range Transportation Plan MetroQuest survey results.
I even had a helper, so all his names on there. I'm Casey Kersey with AECOM, and I do public outreach for the Pasco County MPO. You've seen the presentations a few times now on the MetroQuest results. What we're doing is wrapping it up to show you how it'll be used for the long-range plan. So this really ties into your LRTP discussion. Okay. As you know, we did a local survey a year ago, and we had fantastic results, over 1,600 completed surveys. And Pasco County also participated in the regional survey as part of the Tri-County effort. Your goal was 500 completed surveys, but using the free service of social media, we were able to triple that goal and have great success in reaching all ages, 18 on up, all the population, and really made a difference in getting some good comments from your local citizens. This just shows how your public information department actually can track their media buys. They have a technology that for anything that they put out through their media sources, they can relate it to what the cost would be if you actually had to buy that outside of Pasco County. And our free service, meaning that the using social media equated to over $9,000 in value of what you would have had to spend had you not used social media. What we heard from the surveys, Tier 1, Tier 2 really is irrelevant. That's just how it came out in the survey. But your citizens said enhance safety, utilize technology to improve traffic flow, signal coordination, provide new roads to meet traffic demand, expand trails and sidewalks, protect natural resources, and improve existing roads and bridges. This shows a scatter map of where all the comments were made. They had over 4,500 markers placed on this map, and every one of them has some type of comment that Wally and Tyndale get the pleasure of going over with Ali and John. But it really gives you a very good explanation of what your citizens are feeling out there. The beauty of this local effort was that it was not project specific. You got a map and you got to put down where you lived, if you had driving issues, transit issues, walking issues, without anyone saying there's an area that you need to worry about. It was just really fantastic outreach to feed into your long-range transportation plan.
So if I could on that map,
Mm-hmm.
so when you see the red and the yellow, red you had more responses on a specific area?
Right,
yellow
we've got
lighter?
maps that drill all the way down on those comments. The red just meant there was a large concentration in that area.
Okay.
So this was a better way of showing you that it really was county-wide. People put comments all over the map. Yellow just mean there were less comments in that area.
Okay.
But we have taken this raw data, those 4,600 data points that all have written comments, and they're sorted by zip code, they're sorted by planning area. It will be a very good support data for the analysis for the long-range transportation plan when you're looking at your needs plan. Okay. In the regional effort, you also got an additional 800 comments, and surveys completed talking about regional needs and connectivity county to county, among the county for commuting, and this will also feed your long-range transportation plan analysis. That shows from the regional responses. The left side was the color for the zip code, and the right side was where they worked. So you got a feeling of the commuting patterns if they filled out this information during as part of those 800 surveys. Okay? What we heard from the Pasco residents, this was for the regional survey out of those 800. The green is the Pasco bars. The purple line, a little hard to see from that distance, just shows the average. But once again, regionally, the comments were fix traffic jams, provide alternatives to driving, so they're looking for the multimodal, the trails and so forth, transit, and a desire for shorter commutes. They'd like to live and work in their same county. As part of the long-range transportation plan, we have an active public information document that allows citizens to go in and see what types of tools we're using, the schedule for the LRTP, and that is updated on your long-range transportation plan and kept live as a document that we amend as necessary. It isn't adopted, so we can make changes at any point, but it is really what you're doing for public outreach for the long-range transportation plan. Mark?
So I'm Wally Blaine with Tyndale Oliver, and just wanted to talk to you about, as we move forward with the analysis and the technical part of the long-range plan, how we'll use that public involvement, the data that's come in, but then also what you can look forward to as far as the schedule and getting the plan adopted in December of this year. So that first graphic is just that representation of the map that Casey showed you with all the comments countywide. The benefit of what we have this time around with the comments that came in is because there's location to them, we can overlay that with the projects that are identified through the technical analysis and see where there's overlap, not just from the technical priorities. You guys talked about those performance measures and the weighting already, but where the overlap is with the comments that we've received from the public. Combine that with the analysis of the existing conditions. Where do we have current problems? Where do we know there are needs on our transportation system? What does that data analysis result in as far as needed projects as we move forward? You'll see in the next slide when I talk about the schedule where we'll have additional input from the committees as well as coming back to you as the board members and getting comments from the public, what that looks like from a review of those needs. How do people respond to those needs that are out there? Are there specifics that we can talk about as prioritization of those projects and what that means from a funding, looking at the theoretical, if we go this route and talk to the public about what, if you had $100, how would you spend it? If you had $50, how would you spend it? Kind of getting an idea. We talked about the importance of not just capacity and roadway projects, but our modal projects, bike ped, transit projects, connecting with freight and those, the whole of projects. The ultimate result of that then is the adopted long-range transportation plan in December that we'd come back to you. So from a schedule standpoint, you can see that we've worked on the goals, performance measures. We came and presented those goals to you back last year, working on just the overall evaluation and performance reporting of the plan. We're going through the finalization now of the 2045 growth allocation for population and employment that'll lead into the development of the travel demand modeling. Going through the review and the prioritization, you can see that we've had the review of that, and ultimately we'll come back in April to talk more with you about those prioritization criteria. The update of the revenues and unit costs, we've been meeting with staff, talking about what it looks like for a revenue perspective through 2045, how that coordinates with the existing revenue streams that you have currently throughout the county. Going through then into the early spring, we'll be doing the evaluation of the transportation needs. You'll see we'll come back to you hopefully in May with some results of that before we go out to the public for review. The idea and the goal is to not only have public meetings, but to have a review through the MetroQuest using that same tool that the public is familiar with and they've used, but asking them the next level of questions about how they would evaluate what their perspective is on the needed transportation projects. As we work through the summer and then get into the fall, we'll be looking at the prioritization of projects, the availability of revenues, and what that means for a cost-affordable or cost-feasible transportation plan. That'll come to you a couple of times for review. Ultimately, then it'll go out for public review and comment before coming back to you for adoption in December of this year. So I just wanted to touch on kind of what those steps are that we're going through, let you know that even when, as you saw, Casey talked about those comments that the public provided, how those relate to the goal statements you have in the plan process and what you can expect moving forward as we move towards adoption. So with that, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions.
One question.
Commissioner Moore?
How did you get the surveys out?
Hi. So the MetroQuest surveys we put out, we sent out through social media. We did live Facebook video ads, and your public information office for the county helped us distribute it. It went by Facebook, it went by email, and we also attended, I don't know if you remember, I tried to get to every commission district. So Commissioner Starkey helped me do that.
See the numbers in my district?
Yes, yes, yes. Commissioner Mariano had me, we were at a homeowner association together, so I canvassed the county during that month and a half. I went to city council meetings, and I made myself available to show folks how to take the survey, and I'll do that again when we kick off the next one to match funding with projects.
Because Hillsborough puts it out in their trim notices.
They did for the regional one because they did not do a local one. So for the local, we use social media to get it out, as well as attending meetings and so forth. But Hillsborough chose to use the regional effort as their local one as well. So they spent a significant amount of money to do what you got for really a much less expensive price.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah, your effort was much more efficient.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Ms. Chris. I believe you're up again with public involvement plan for the 2045 LRTP.
So that's really just a follow-up to let you know that that public involvement plan is out there on the website, connected. And it is also filed as ADA compliant, so anyone can use that public involvement plan using a tool for a reader. So when you look at it, we don't see it as the PDF, but if you run the tool across, anyone who is disabled can use this and have the document read to them. So it's a very public-friendly type of document, which it needs to be, and tracks basically all your efforts that occur during the long-range transportation plan cycle.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, John, for other business, John wanted me to bring up, there's an MPOAC Weekend Institute for elected officials from May 31st to June 2nd. Is anyone interested in going?
So we have 3 spaces committed, and we can pay through our grant, but we just wanted to know, Commissioner Mariano expressed interest. The sooner you can let us know if you're available, the sooner we can lock you in, but it's just an open invitation, it's not a requirement.
May 31st through, yeah, in Tampa.
But it's supposed to be a really good session for MPO and board members.
Some of the members of TMA mentioned they'd gone twice.
Yes.
They found it very valuable, so. What are the dates of it again?
It's May 28th to June 1st. May 31st to June 2nd.
Commissioner Mariano?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So it's on March 29th to the 31st. They have the first one in Orlando. There's the dates up there, okay, 31st of June. I'm actually looking at going to the Tampa one, driving up and driving back. And I do think you're going to see some other counties representatives from the TMA going there, so it might not be a bad time to find out where they're coming from as we go in the future anyway.
Thank you. And then
So if
John,
there's an opening, no one's going to go, I'll go to that Tampa one, but if someone else is going to go and it fills up
Well, there's
3
3
spots, I'll pull
spots.
myself out.
You said there's
Just in case, I'm saying, I don't want to take a spot that someone who hasn't gone will go.
okay. Thank you. And then John, did you want to comment on the attendant work program comments?
Yes, so as you know, last month, Stephen came and gave us a little update on how some of those projects would be pushed back in part because of the funding shortage from gas tax. And Commissioner Moore made some elaborate comments, so we just wanted to make sure that they were on record, that those comments were submitted back to FDOT in their review period.
So,
we're just attaching them.
Mr. Chairman, so Secretary Gwynn actually called me that afternoon, so, what's that?
He told me that.
Yeah, so it actually, I guess, the information, what we weren't told for that specific project, it was just getting bumped to
1 month.
the next, the next month.
Yeah.
To get out of that year. So I told him I'm fine, I'm good.
But we still submitted the comments.
But I appreciate it. Thank you, but we're good.
Any other business to come before the board?
I did bring up to staff a couple of safety items that we were seeing, Commissioner Wells, it's your district, but it's on Starkey Boulevard, because we opened up a market right there. I'm there quite a bit right now, and I'm watching kids cross from Longleaf across Starkey without a crosswalk, right where cars are speeding on where there's a merge. And frankly, the speeding is ridiculous. And we need to do something before something bad happens. Get the sheriff out there to write some tickets. I've asked to see if there could be one of those lights that flash when
Have you seen the
people are
crosswalks we have in
crossing.
downtown Newport Richie?
Yeah,
They
we
have
have one.
flashing lights in the road, and then there's a sign. with
Yeah, we
flashing
have
lights
one
as
right
well.
there at the downtown Longleaf. But I see a lot of people going out of Longleaf to get on the trail there as well. And I just, what makes that area very scary is it's right where the merge is happening. And so I hope that you can be looking at that. And also, I'm watching all these users on the trail, and it's pitch black. Pitch black. And I talked with some staff yesterday with Michael Carballa. Is there some way we can, as we look at putting these trails in around the county, it would be nice if we could find some kind of solar light panels that they don't have to light it up like you could read a book, but if we could give our residents some measure of feeling comfortable on these trails as it gets darker for safety reasons, I think we should look at having some kind of light sometimes along these where it's really dark.
Thank you. Commissioner Mariano?
Yes. If I could, can we get an update on Hicks Road? They just did the sidewalk project, which came out really good. It's where it connects from Hicks Road and Hudson Avenue. So the kids at that intersection now can walk to the school on a sidewalk. They can actually walk up to the park, which is right above now, which is good. But the Hicks Road project is something maybe Debbie could comment on to the status. I know we had a great program. We saved a fortune with people buying the right-of-way, or let's say buying the right-of-way up front instead of going through the eminent domain process. But I don't know if we have that on the schedule, when it's going to start.
When Hicks Road is supposed to start, I thought that the bid had opened. I think it's supposed to start very soon.
Okay.
And you're referring to an incentive process that we're using now for right-of-way acquisition for sidewalks and those locations where we don't need a lot of right-of-way. So it's been very effective,
Yeah.
and we're continuing to use it for other projects. So it was a great idea.
Now, you've done a phenomenal job with it to execute it through.
It's been very, very effective. So thank you for that, because
Okay.
I think you initiated that.
Thank you,
While
Ron.
Commissioner
Ms.
Starkey?
Baldock is up there, so on Leonard, which was the sidewalk that was on the list when I became county commissioner, that had been trying for so long. You know, I know that in the past, it's been in the 20s every year that I've been here, but conditions have really changed in that area, and I asked staff to go out and relook at the Leonard's rankings based on our criteria, because I believe that we need to have a criteria system. But that meant, what's the road that we just paved that connects to it that everyone's cutting, the 5441 light? There's a,
Is it
it's
Henley?
where the Stanley steamer is on the corner.
Is it Henley?
What is it called?
Is it Henley?
Henley. So we paved Henley, and that the property, there are 2 developments on Henley under construction. So there's a lot more traffic going down Henley. And so I asked twice now if the criteria for Leonard has been relooked at and reevaluated based on those things. So I'd like to know or see that criteria. Has it been done? That's what it is.
So I guess you will know when we bring the priority list before you, hopefully in August.
But I asked this last year when we paid.
Yeah, but we have to evaluate all the projects that are on the list. We have to-
Well, when do you go out and do the counts? Don't you, to do the evaluation, don't you have to go out and count?
So let me go back to what you were first asking about criteria. So I think that they did do that.
I'd like to
Because
see
there
that.
was a criteria that was added, so if there was a project that had been on the list, it was scored higher. So as projects come in, because we're always getting requests, that one that's been on the list has a higher ranking. So Leonard's continued to move up. I think the
No,
last.
it's 21.
No,
now
it's
23.
15. So it was 15 last year in 2018 when the MPO priority list was reviewed by the MPO. So I am confident that it's going to continue to move up and could be in the single digits. So it's continuing to advance on the list.
I'm very happy for that, but just because I have this terrible flaw in my personality, I would like to see the data. I would like to see the before data and the after data of the criteria ranking.
I will share that.
Okay, thank you.
And I was not here last month, so I accept your nomination. Thank you for having me. Mr. Chair.
That's what happens when you're vacant.
Yes, I don't want to miss a meeting. I will point out, though, that I am up for re-election, so unless I get re-elected, Lance, you'll be taking over. But I do plan on winning, so hopefully I'll be here for a year. Thank you. Any other business that's come before the board? Entertain motion to adjourn?
So moved.
In Tallahassee, so you'll let us know then?
Well, it's, I believe you all meet in Tallahassee.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, we will be there.
So no meeting till
Oh, that's why
April
we
then.
have this?
Well, we just wanted to know, because we didn't want to call it without, I mean, if 5 of you are here, we got a meeting. But if you're all gone, you're okay with canceling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gone. We need to meet. Good to see you, bud. Yeah, doing fine.